Yeah, oh, Prof here. Hopefully I'm in frame. This is video quality on the new Pixel 6, 4K 60 FPS. Um, don't know, it's like around noon here. We got no lights on in the house, but hopefully we got enough light here. What we're here for is not King. Yeah, how's it going, King? He's the new kitty cat, guys, if you haven't seen him yet. He's a good little guy. King Arthur is his name. Yeah. He wants pets. Can't deny that, right? What we are here today for is what I got right on release, and that is the Fnatic Bolt. I think this is the first new Fnatic mouse in a long time. The previous ones were very, very similar to the Funk Gaming designs. I want to say like they were different shapes, but the actual inherent build quality, that's just very close to the older Funk ones. Um, and that was for the second gen, the clutch to that sort of stuff. I never actually ended up with the originals. But so far, I'm really liking the packaging here. Very simple. Just orange. To be truthful, very similar to the older SteelSeries packaging. Bolt. And then what I like is the back too. It just lists off. Boom, 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 boom. Here's the things you need to know in big text instead of normally they got like all those diagrams, and then this is written in like 6 languages. Over here we have some more of this sort of stuff. Esports Flex. This software is impossible to read because it's black on black. Onboard memory, customizable RGB lighting, custom key mapping, adjustable DPI profile. Yeah, you might want to make that in white. Same thing happened over here. There's one mouse, and then there's like a drawing of the mouse. That's actually way harder to see in real life. And then there's all pictures of all the accessories, but I can see them better on camera than I can in real life here. USB receiver, USB extension dongle, paracord, additional set of mouse feet. So that's always nice. So the big things here are ultralight 67 grams. That's pretty darn light. This is a wireless, by the way. Wireless mouse is the one I got. Esports grade 2.5 gigahertz, 2.4 gigahertz. We'll see. So far, the only ones I've had real good luck with are Razer and Logitech. Flagship 3370. Yeah, it's fine. 110 hours of battery life on 2.5 gigahertz, or 2.5 gigahertz, 2.4 gigahertz. Fast charge via USB-C. Okay, well, we can test that, and hopefully it's true C, meaning like a PD connection, power delivery, that stands for. And hopefully this can fit standard Type-C cables. The two I will test with is I have a new one that I've standardized on from Club 3D, and then I have the OG one that I use on all my chargers, even though I can't get it anymore, and that is the original Google Pixel, like Pixel 1 and Pixel 2 cables. That is about as like Type-C as you get. Some things I found only work with the Apple ones, which have like no strain relief and the connector is really thin. Bluetooth 5.1. I really wonder why that matters, like why they specifically mention Bluetooth 5.1. I don't think that would matter for a mouse, but potentially, I don't know if anybody else has talked about this, but theoretically, I think that would allow a higher polling rate than, because normally I think you only need like Bluetooth like 2 or 2.1. I'd have to go back and look in order to do mouse and keyboard support. Kale GM 8.0s, not bad, not bad. Those feel very similar to newer Omrons, I would say. Most people, because of the reduced travel of the 8.0, are going to prefer those over the 4.0. The 4.0 is much clickier. Me personally, just probably because I've used Omrons my like entire freaking life, I really like the 2.0s. And the 2.0s from them are their first ones that don't have the double click issue because of there's a copper pad in there. If you watch some previous mouse content we've done, you would have seen that there. And then Virgin PTFE feet, that's marketing bullshit. Thick and rounded. Thick, whatever, rounded, good. Without them being round on the edges, they'll catch stuff more likely on the pad. Virgin PTFE is just kind of bullshit in my opinion. PTFE is PTFE as long as it's 100%. Dye isn't doing shit. But the Virgin, the reason why I do that is it's very easy to tell that it's 100% then, because if you see white, then you know it's the 100%. One thing I found very interesting on this box is these little push things. I think they put those in there to push it open, which would be very, very nice. Makes sense. Hang by this. Keeps the box closed when it hangs by this. So, here's what the bottom looks like. I ended up with the black one. Just boop. Here we go. Oh, flips down. So if you guys are wondering, mainly nowadays, not necessarily when gaming, but for desktop use, I mainly use the Aerox 3, specifically the Ghost. So I have a feeling I'm gonna like this. I think the feet could be bigger. I do like the wrap all the way around. I don't like when they're just in the corners. Even if they're pretty big, I like that entire... It feels cheap, but a lot of these very, very light mice feel very cheap. I'm sure the accessories are in here. Looks like a manual. Probably the mouse feet are in this front flap. There we go. So it looks like they're still using a USB-A. And here's the extension. Oh. Yeah, A to C. Yeah, because they just end up wanting you to use the cable that your dongle is plugged into to charge the mouse. What that usually points to is potential issues, if you're wondering, of having the dongle plugged in and the mouse plugged in. So I pulled this. Okay. I don't really like that. But the hole's probably big enough for a standard Type-C. Let's go find out. I don't have my... I understand why I did that. It's the same reason why Logitech did it. It's so that when it's in wired mode, it's not as wiggly because there's left-right support. I understand why. In here is the extra feet. It's very flexible, but feels durable. And there's not a lot of looseness in there. A lot of these paracord cables are like, in order to be flexible, they're very loose. So, oh, and they did do this correctly. That is a reusable cable tie. The one annoying thing is, because of this, you can't use it for anything else. Now we're going to go find and see if this works with a standard Type-C cable. This is one of my favorite chargers ever. That is the Pixelbook charger, and I have a right angle adapter on there just to get the cable not coming out at weird angles. And these are the original 6-foot original Pixel cables. Definitely my recommended one. Love these cables. They're shielded. They have all the pins, so they carry data, like all the pins. They're very impossible to get lately. All right, we're plugged in. So if that fits, I consider this Pixel cable to be the de facto Type-C cable. If that fits, it's good. And that's what these companies should be doing, is you should be making your proprietary cable bigger than a standard cable. And not a standard Apple cable, like the standard size, because this is actually defined. And this is pretty close. I think the Club 3D one that I have is a little bit closer to the actual standard. But Pixel's cables were, at least initially, like one of the first things to come with Type-C. I don't want to say like one of the first, but they very much popularized it. I have many cables of that style. For example, here's an orange one that is only USB 2.0, same exact style on the connector. It is also made by Google. It's made for Chromebooks. So let's head over to my Skypad here. Almost called it an ice pad. And only just the other day I did finally put... I get all the cat fur off, guys. I finally put the Fun Spark out. And this is after the new yellow one just got released, which I do need to pick up. Listen to this. Alright, that's got those right there, and they're not very rounded. Okay? Listen to this. Nice and smooth feet. Very, by comparison, very rounded edges. The Vaxi outset is, I don't know if I like it better than EC2. I've been using it more than EC2. I think I do better with it than the EC2. Newer versions have definitely fixed things up. Until recently, I was using this glossy one, and if you notice, I don't even have an EC2 hooked up anymore. I have my Rival 106 is always on here. I have three. I have one that is 2.0s, one that's 4.0s. That's 4.0. And this is a 8.0. The click and reset is much faster on 8.0. And I think more people are going to like it because of that. So I always have a 106 hooked up, and I've actually swapped out. I like the outset so much that I've actually swapped out the outset and replaced the EC2, because I normally had an EC2 on my desk. The 106, because that's my main if I'm actually playing games. That's what I'm using, is one of these. And I would have I have another bungee for another mouse that I'm testing. In this case, another mouse that I've really been liking is the Prime. I have a Prime wireless right here. The reason why this Prime is out is this is the limited edition Black Ice Rainbow Six Siege one, and you can't tell me that that thing doesn't look sexy. Love the shape of the Prime as well. I use a Rival 3 wireless at work. Previously at home I was using a Aerox 3 with the swapped out, the replacement feet that were the white PTFE. Now I'm using the Ghost. So I really thought that the Bolt, would be a great fit. Like if you like this guy here, the Aerox 3, you're probably going to like the Bolt. There's bigger side buttons. That's one of the biggest downsides of the Aerox 3 here, at least for me when gaming. Desktop use, non-issue. I'm so used to this shape, also using it daily, because there are not many mice that were... The reason why I'm using the Rival at work also is it takes AAs or AAAs. There at the time were maybe 3 total mice that took AA batteries had wireless but were also Bluetooth. The Logitech 603, too rare for me to use at work because it's a work mouse. It might get dropped, it might break. I need to be able to replace it if it wears out. I've used mine for over a year, but I didn't want to be like, oh, I left it at a location, I literally can't get another one. So that's out. Then initially I'm using the Corsair, was it Qatar Pro, I want to say. That's all right. The shape on that is actually kind of similar to the G303 here, a little bit. It's kind of like a more angular version of the G203, or 203/305. I'd love to use the 305 because Logitech's dead reliable, but they never made that shape in Bluetooth. Seriously, even my mom would want a G305, but for her computer it has to be Bluetooth. So that's out of the running as well. Then we came down to the Rival 3 Wireless. I did use that Qatar for about a month because we couldn't get the Rival 3 Wireless. And then I got so used to using that for work, I ended up using the Aerox 3 for home, and then this bad boy came out. And look at how good that looks on this mouse pad here with that Cyberpunk Tachikoma. But then I saw the Bolt, and it's a little, I want to say a little bit lower. A little bit flatter. But as I said, the side buttons, much larger. It also feels a bit more ergonomic. Less support. The one thing I really like about the Aerox though is the support right here in this region. So I have a palm grip. Obviously, if I use a freaking outset, you know, or a Rival 106. If I use those, I definitely have a palm grip. Yeah. So, but for a ambi mouse, it supports very well in this region right here, right there. So I can actually palm grip it very well. That's where I wish the buttons were. I mean, they can't really be much bigger because the sides are so small. But to be my actual main FPS mouse or whatever, I need bigger buttons. You know, and I prefer them to be as out of the way as possible. Perfect for the outset. I'll take a look at the Rival 106. There you go. See what I mean? I can fully grip without hitting these. I cannot do that. My thumb rests on it. Now, this thumb is very big. We've proven that before. Not very big, but it's bigger than average. It's even bigger than my left one because there's a bunch of calluses and stuff that have built up over the years that it's just, you know, it's big. So that's why I go for, you know, these kind of mice where my thumb completely does not rest on any of the buttons, but they're close enough that I can just, or even roll it up to hit them. The EC2 is like that as well. Death Adder as well. Started with the Death Adder as being probably my most commonly used mouse. Not my main mouse, but just I would always default back to it. So always very good in the hand. Then went to EC2. Rival 106 is in there because it's basically like a Kana, which is like a big version of the IntelliMouse Optical IMO 1.1, IntelliMouse Optical 1.1. Love this shape. Supposedly, Vaxi is going to be making a version of the IntelliMouse 1.1 or their take on it. So that'll be very high on my list. But I do like that if you look, even though this is a smaller, lower profile mouse, check this out. My thumb, my bigger thumb here, does not hit the side buttons. And that is a big, I mean, if I, it might rest just on the bottom if I actually get into playing. But that's a big thing for me, for a smaller mouse like this, or similar to the G305, which has awful side buttons. Inherently mice like about this size generally have poor side buttons. And if you're wondering, normally I like the white mouse, or like prefer white mice and glossy mice like this. But this one, there was a weight difference. And what that means is it's not just glossy plastic. If there's an additional weight difference, that means they're taking the stock one and making it glossy. Do not like that. So that's why we went with the black, which is a nice rough texture there. I think it's a good texture. I like having, because this, you don't need to put any grips on the mouse. I mean, maybe you can, like, and this, if you guys are wondering, is because my fingers are sweating. The tips especially, I could run down there. I have very sweaty hands as well. But if you look at the Vaxi, I'm not the only one that thinks about making sure that's textured. That's the original, or this is the glossy outset. The original is the same way, it's just black there. The only time that changed slightly was on this full matte Fun Spark, but it's still textured differently. So, but yeah, we'll give this a shot, and I'll get you guys a follow-up video. So, please throw me a subscribe if you could, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the video shot on the Pixel 6, and I think quality is way better than the Pixel 5 and 3 because of the new sensor. Let me know what you thought. I'll see you in the future. Have a good one. Peace.